Machikahan time! Narito naman po ang inyong machikang teacher. Ngayon, ang pag-uusapan po natin is generates patterns. So, let us observe the patterns below. So, what should be the next shape kung ganito po ang pattern? Yung una po ay yung ating rectangle, then triangle, rectangle, dalawang triangle, rectangle, and then may tatlo tayong triangle. So, we have, the next one is the rectangle. Okay? Next, what is the next shape if we have this one? So, as you can see, yung unang nating figure ay triangle at meron siyang tatlong side. The other one ay mayroong 4 na side. Then, the next one ay mayroong 5 side, which is pentagon. And then, we have hexagon. So, therefore, ang susunod niya ay 7 sides polygon. Okay? So, yan po ang susunod ng shape. So, let us have our review on sequence. When we say sequence, is an ordered set of numbers. Each number in the sequence is called the term. So, bawat sequence daw or number sa sequence ay term ang tawag. A sequence may be finite or infinite. So, depending on each domain, a finite sequence contains a finite number of terms, and an infinite sequence contains an infinite number of terms. So, for example, yung number 1 natin, we have 2, 4, 6, and 8. At meron tayong yung tinatawag nating ellipsis. Yung tatlong tuldok po, ang tawag natin sa kanya ay ellipsis. At that means the number is continuous. So, yan po yung tinatawag nating infinite sequence. The next example is we have 500, 1,000, 1,500, and 2,000. As we can see, meron pa rin po siyang tuldok. Ibig sabihin, tuloy-tuloy lang din po yung number. Then, another one, we have 3. In number 3, we have 1, 5, 11, and 19. So, wala po siyang ellipsis. So, therefore, we have only 4 terms. And then, number 4, we have 10, 20, 30, and 40. So, meron lamang din po tayong 4 na term. Okay? So, ang tawag natin sa bawat number sa sequence natin, siya po yung tinatawag nating term. Okay? So, now, which of the 4 sequences above are finite and which of them are infinite? So, as you can see, yung example number 1 at number 2 po ay tinatawag nating infinite sequence or sequences. Bakit? Kasi meron siyang ellipsis, and the ellipsis will tell us that the number is continuous. So, yung number ay tuloy-tuloy lang po. Samantalang sa 3 at sa number 4 ay tinatawag po siyang finite set. Finite kasi kaya nating bilangin kung ilang term po ang meron. So, for example, ito, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, meron siyang 4 term. Okay? Or 4 terms. Another one, sa number 4, meron din po siyang 4 na term. So, we have 4 terms. Samantalang sa 1 at 2 ay hindi po natin kayang bilangin since meron po siyang tatlong tuldok o yung tinatawag nating ellipsis. Okay? So, magpatuloy tayo. So, let's do this. So, let us give the next 2 terms of each sequence. So, ang gagawin po natin, ibibigay natin yung susunod na 2 term dun sa given sequence natin. So, for example, number 1. So, we have B, A, D, C, F, E, H, and G. So, kung mapapansin natin, ang pattern po natin ay binabaliktad lang yung ating alphabet. So, let us say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So, ang susunod ay J, R, O, I, J. Okay po? So, I, and then J. Okay? Next one. So, number 2, we have 13R, 16P, 20N, we have 25L, and 31J. So, kung titingnan po natin yung number, kukunin natin yung difference silang dalawa. So, 16 minus 13 is 3. Then, 20 minus 16 is 4. 25 minus 20 is 5, and 31 minus 25 is 6. Kung mapapansin natin, may pattern po tayo na 3, 4, 5, at 6. So, ibig sabihin, dito po, ang susunod na term natin ay 7, and then the other one is 8. So, kung 31 plus 7, so that would be 38. Then, 38 plus 8 is 46. Okay? So, that would be the number. Pero, paano po ang ating letters? So, kung mapapansin natin, J, tapos L, N, P, R. So, tumatalon po siya ng every other letter. So, for example, J, then K wala, then L, then M po ay wala. So, ano po ang letters natin sa 38? So, that would be H, and then sa 46 ay F. Okay? The next one is 7, 10, 15, and 18. Tingnan natin yung pattern kung paano natin kukunin yung value. So, yung 7 at 10, ang difference po niya ay 3. Yung 10 at 15, ang difference ay 5. Then, yung 15 at 18, ang difference ay 3. Kung mapapansin natin yung pattern, we have 3, 5, and 3. So, ibig sabihin, yung susunod na term, ang difference niya ay 5, and then yung kasunod pa ay 3 naman po. So, kung 18 yan, plus 5, that is 23, and 23 plus 3 ay 26. Okay? Next and last example. So, we have 120, 115, 109, 102, and 94. So, paano natin kukunin yung yung dalawang term? So, kunin natin yung difference ulit. So, 120 and 115, that is 5. 115 and 109, that is 6. 109 and 102, that is 7. And 102 and 94 is 8. So, meaning, kung mapapansin natin yung pattern, we have 5, 6, 7, 8. So, ang kasunod na po niya, ang difference ay 9, and then the other is 10. So, magbabawas lang tayo. 120 minus 5 is 115. So, therefore, 94 minus 9, that is 83. Okay? And 83 minus 10, that is 73. Okay? So, that is how we can get the next two term of each sequence. So, kapag given po yung sequence, ganyan natin kukunin yung kanyang susunod na term. Basta alam natin ano yung magiging pattern po natin. Okay? So, that is how we can get the next two terms. O, pwede pa rin 3 terms o 4 terms. So, basta alam natin kung anong magiging pattern natin para mas madali nating makuha ang susunod na term. Okay? So, magpatuloy po tayo. So, ngayon, ang gagawin naman po natin ay paano natin kukunin yung first 3 terms of the sequence given the general rule. At ano po yung general rule? That is A sub n is equal to n plus 5. Okay? Kung kanina, ang given rule po natin ay, or ang given natin ay sequence. Binigay natin yung dalawang term niya. Ngayon naman po, gagawa tayo ng sequence gamit ang general rule. So, we given A sub n is equal to n plus 5. Remember, since n plus 5 po ang kukunin natin palagi, tatlong term yun. Tatlong term yung bubuuin natin. Ayan. So, yan po yung ating sequence. Gamit yung n plus 5. Saan tayo mag-start? So, since wala tayong value ng n, we always start at 1. Okay? So, given the general rule or general rule, A sub n equals n plus 5. Then, papalitan lang po natin ng n ng 1. So, A sub 1 equals, ang n po natin ay 1 plus 5. So, i-add lang po natin, A sub 1 equals 1 plus 5 is 6. So, yan po yung unang term natin, which is 6. Okay? Next one. So, since ang unang term n is equal to 1, so kukunin natin yung pangalawang term, which is n equals 2. So, we have again, a sub n equals n plus 5. So, papalitan natin a sub. Since n natin ay 2, papalitan natin ng 2. Equals, ang n po natin ay 2 plus 5. And 2 plus 5 ay 7. So, a sub 2 equals 7. So, ang susunod nating term sa sequence ay 7. Okay, another one, yung pangatlo na kasi tatlo yung hinahanap. Ayan, 3 terms. So, given n equals 3. So, again, the general rule is a sub n equals n plus 5. Papalitan po natin a sub 3 equals, palitan natin ng n ng 3 by substitution plus 5. And 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay? So, ito po ang ating value or ang ating 3 terms which is 6, 7, and 8. So, let us have another example. Let us find the first 4 terms of the sequence given the general rule. Kung kanina ay 3 lang po yung hinahanap, dito naman po ay 4. So, 4 yung ating kukuning sequence o yung term natin sa ating sequence. Ayan. So, gamit yung a sub n equals 4n minus 1. Since 4 po, yung una ay n equals 1, yung pangalawa ay n equals 2, yung pangatlo ay n equals 3, and then we have n equals 4. So, iisa-isahin natin. So, yung general rule natin, which is a sub n, equals 4n minus 1. So, papalitan natin yung n ng 1. So, maging a sub 1 equals. Since magkasama yung 4 at saka n, ibig sabihin, multiplication po ang 4 at n. So, therefore, 4 times ang value natin ng n, which is 1, minus 1. Okay? So, uunahin natin yung ating multiplication since ang susundin po nating formula or ang ating process ay yung tinatawag nating PEMDAS. We always start at the parenthesis, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and then subtraction. So, we have a sub 1 equals 4 times 1 is 4 minus 1. And 4 minus 1 equals 3. Okay? So, this will be our first term. Ayan, yan sa ating first term. Next term. So, again, given the general rule, a sub n is equal to 4n minus 1. Papalitan natin yung n ng 2. So, a sub 2 equals 4. Then, ang n natin na imumultiply ngayon ay 2. Since second term na siya, minus 1. Then, we will have a sub 2 equals 4 times 2 is 8 minus 1. Again, gagamitin muna natin yung PEMDAS na multiplication muna. And then, a sub 2 equals 8 minus 1 is 7. Okay? So, our second term is 7. Next term, yung pangatlo nating term, we have a sub n again is equal to 4n minus 1. So, change the value of n, which is a sub 3, and then equals 4. Then, change the value of n, which is 3, minus 1. So, standard, ano lang po yan 1? Constant kasi siya. So, a sub 3 equals 4 times 3 is 12, minus 1. So, a sub 3 equals 11. So, ang pangatlo natin ay yung ating 11. And the last one is n equals to 4. So, again, we have a sub n is equal to 4n minus 1. So, we will have a sub 4 equals 4 times ang n natin again ay 4 minus 1. So, a sub 4 equals 4 times 4 is 16 minus 1. So, 16 minus 1 is 15. So, that is our a sub 4, which is 15. So, kung mapapansin po natin, kung ano ang sub na nilalagay natin, kung 1 yun, 1 din po yung value ng n. Kung 2 ang sub 2 natin, 2 din po ang value ng n. So, parehas lang po sila. So, ang ating sequence are 3, 7, 11, and 15. So, let us have now find the first 3 terms. Ayan. Yung 3 terms daw ng ating sequence. Given the general rule that a sub n is equal to 5 raised to n plus 2. So, tandaan po natin ha, magkaiba yung 5n at yung 5 raised to n. So, ito po yung ating exponent. Ha? Ayan, exponent po siya. It means how many times we multiply the base. Pero yung 5n, minumultiply lang po natin yung 5 at yung value ng n. Okay? So, let us have now. So, ibig sabihin, tatlong term ulit yung kukunin. Yung 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So, ang n natin, n equals 1, and n equals 2, and n equals 3. So, given ang ating general rule that a sub n is equal to 5 raised to n plus 2. Okay? So, papalitan po natin yung n ng 1. So, a sub 1 equals 5 raised to 1 plus 2. So, isang beses lang daw imumultiply yung 5. So, 5 raised to 1 is 5. So, a sub 1 equals 5 plus 2. So, mapapansin natin, PEMDAS pa rin. We start with the parenthesis exponent. Okay? So, 5 raised to 1 is 5. So, a sub 1 is equal to 5 plus 2 is 7. So, that is a sub 1. So, dito po natin ilalagay yung unang term. Now, so let us have our n equals 2. So, given the general rule, a sub n equals 5 raised to n plus 2. So, that means a sub 2 equals 5 squared plus 2. 5 squared, ibig sabihin, that is 5 times 5. And that is equal to 25. So, a sub 2 equals 25 plus 2. And 25 plus 2 equals 27. Ayan. So, that would be our next term. So, let us have the third term. So, ang general rule ulit ay a sub n is equal to 5 raised to n plus 2. So, ang n natin ngayon ay 3. So, a sub 3 equals 5 then cube plus 2. So, a sub 3 equals, so ang 5 cube po, ang 5 cube, that is equal to 5 times 5 times 5. So, multiply natin, 5 times 5 is 25 times 5. So, yung 25 times 5, that is 125. So, therefore, 125 plus 2. So, a sub 3 equals 127. Okay? So, yan po yung pangatlong term. So, that would be our first 3 terms of the given general rule, a sub n equals 5 raised to n plus 2. So, let us have another example para mas madali nating maintindihan, para mas maintindihan natin talaga kung paano tayo kumukuha o gumagawa ng sequence gamit po ang general rule. So, the next one is we have to find the first 5 terms of the sequence given the general rule, a sub n is equal to 2n plus 1. So, first 5. So, ibig sabihin, 5 po na term ang hinahanap natin. Ayan. So, yan yung ating magiging sequence. Okay? So, therefore, ang n natin ay equal kay 1. Ang n ay 2. Then, we have also 3. Then, 4. And then, 5. Yan. Iisa-isahin po natin. So, ang general rule natin ay a sub n equals to n plus 1. So, papalitan natin, we have to substitute the value of n. So, magiging a sub 1 equals 2. So, since magkatabi, ibig sabihin po multiplication. So, times 1 plus 1. So, a sub 1 equals 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1. So, therefore, a sub 1 equals 3. Okay? Next, when n equals 2. So, a sub n equals 2n plus 1. So, a sub 2 equals 2 times ang n natin ay 2 plus 1. And a sub 2 equals 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1. And 4 plus 1 is 5. Okay? So, that would be our second term. And then, third term, so we have again, general rule, a sub n is equal to 2n plus 1. So, papalitan natin yung n ng 3 equals 2 times ang n natin ay 3 plus 1. So, magiging a sub 3 equals 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1. So, a sub 3 equals 7. Okay, next, when n equals 4. So, a sub n equals 2n plus 1. Ma'am, bakit po pa ulit-ulit na nilalagay yung general rule? Para alam natin kung nasaan na tayo, kung pang ilan na yung term na ginagamit natin at kung sino yung pinapalitan natin. So, tandaan natin, ang pinapalitan lang po natin palagi ay yung value ng n. So, papalitan natin, magiging a sub 4 equals 2 times 4 plus 1. So, yung a sub 4 po natin equals 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1. So, a sub 4 equals 8 plus 1 is 9. Okay? And the last term, which is n equals 5. So, a sub n equals 2n plus 1. So, a sub 5 equals 2 times 5 plus 1. Okay? So, a sub 5 equals 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1. And 10 plus 1, a sub 5 equals 11. So, kung ilalagay na po natin yung sequence, mauuna tayo yung unang term natin which is 3. Sumunod po ay 5, yung 7, 9, and then 11. So, that is our sequence given the general rule which is a sub n equals 2n plus 1. So, you can try this on your notebook. Pwede nyo i-try, di ba? Para mas madali nyo maintindihan or para mas ma-practice po kayo kung paano siya sasagutan. And then, let us have the last example which is, let us find the first 5 terms of the sequence given the general rule which is a sub n equals n squared plus 2. So, tandaan natin, siya po ay exponent po yung 2. Hindi natin i-multiply yung 2 kay n. So, since 5 terms, so n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, n equals 4, and n equals 5. So, 5 po ang kailangan natin. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ayan. So, gamit again yung ating general rule na a sub n equals n squared plus 1. So, ang general rule natin ay depende kung ano ang gusto nating sequence. Okay? Hindi naman po pare-parehas yung general rule. Kasi depende kung ano ang sequence na ibinigay niya. Ano yung difference ng bawat term. Okay? Nakadepende po yun kay general rule. So, papalitan na natin yung n natin, a sub 1 equals, ang n natin ay 1 squared plus 1. Ibig sabihin, ang 1 squared ay 1 times 1. And 1 times 1 is 1 plus 1. So, therefore, a sub 1 equals 2. Okay? Next, when n equals 2. So, given a sub n equals n squared plus 1. So, a sub 2 equals 2 squared plus 1. Ibig sabihin, 2 times 2. So, a sub 2 equals 4 plus 1. So, a sub 2 equals 4 plus 1 is 5. Next, when n equals to 3. So, a sub 3 equals, pwede nang dumiretso tayo ha. Then, 3 squared plus 1. So, yun din po naman yung given formula niya or general rule. So, magiging a sub 3 equals 3 squared is 9. Ibig sabihin, 3 times 3. Hindi 3 times 2, ha? That is 3 times 3. So, 9 plus 1. And 9 plus 1 equals 10. So, when n equals to 4, so pwede na rin tayong dumiretso. A sub 4 equals 4 squared plus 1. So, a sub 4 equals 4 squared. Ibig sabihin ay 4 times 4. And that is 16 plus 1. So, a sub 4 equals 17. And the last term, we have n equals to 5. So, we have a sub 5 equals 5 squared plus 1. So, ang 5 squared po ay 5 times 5. And that is equal to 25 plus 1. So, a sub 5 equals 25 plus 1 ay 26. So, ano po ang term natin or ang mga term, 5 terms? So, we have 2, 5, 10, 17, and 26. Okay, so given the general rule, we already have our terms or 5 terms of our sequence given the general rule a sub n equals n squared plus 1, which is 2, 5, 10, 17, and 26. Iyan ang ating maths sayang kwentuhan. Hanggang sa muli, paalam!